Dedicated on January 13, 1996, the Parowan Heritage Park is located on the original site of where in 1850 Harley P. Pratt and his party camped while exploring the southern region for future pioneer settlements. Found also at the Heritage Park is the Old Spanish Trail. Parowan was also a place of ancient trade routes. On the 8th of January of 1850, Pratt had raised a liberty pole at Heap Spring and dedicated the site.
I dedicate this valley as the starting place for the colonization of the southern region. This valley shall be called the City of the Little Salt Lake, so long as the sun shines upon it.
In December, based on Pratt's exploration report, Brigham Young sent George A. Smith with a group of about 30 families to travel to Pratt's Little Salt Lake Valley. From the Deseret News, July 27, 1850.
You're informed by the presidency of the church that a colony is wanted at Little Salt Lake, Iron County this fall, that 50 or more good, effective men with teams and wagons, provisions and clothing are wanted for 1 year. Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day, was cold and forbidding, the thermometer falling to 16 degrees below zero. Thoughts of home and loved ones far away enjoying the warmth and cheer of Christmas only spurred them on. They encountered snow from 3 to 12 inches deep in the valleys.
Some of the individuals chosen to go were those who possessed a wide variety of trades necessary to sustain settlement of this region. Among those of the 1850 party were Francis Tuft Whitney and his bride of 1 year, Clarissa Alger Whitney. Francis Whitney was used to traveling, having traveled with the Mormon Battalion. He was a private in Bravo Company, commanded by Captain Jesse D. Hunter. Francis's wife, Clarissa, had uncles who also marched in the battalion as well, the Hancock brothers. It is probable that Clarissa and Francis met through them.
On the Pacific Ocean, some 1,000 miles from home, across the Rocky Mountains, I had a cause to roam, enlisting for a soldier and leave my native land. And with my friends and kindred, I took the parting hand. Far from my dear mother and sisters I am, but by the grace of God I will see them again, and lie in Zion City, most glorious to behold, whose walls are made of jasper and streets of purest gold.
May 23, 1847. The Journal of Azariah Smith. On January 13th of 1851, the first group of pioneers arrived at Center Creek, which was later named Parowan. President Smith called a council of the camp. They all knelt down in prayer and thanksgiving.
Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for Thy protecting care that has been over us, and we ask Thee to be with us here in this beautiful valley.
He wrote to the Deseret News in April.
Our colony are all well, and some children have been born. Our wheat crops look fine, and in a few days we will have our fields all fenced and under irrigation. The Indians have been very friendly, bringing us some fine speckled trout from the lake over the mountain.
Left by a mob after a retreat near Far West, Missouri, the old Sow Cannon accompanied the settlers. The old Sow Cannon was in the vanguard with Captain Jacob Hofens, in command of the artillery division of the Iron County Militia. As they came over the Beaver Ridge and could see the valley of the Little Salt Lake, they fired off the old Sow Cannon 3 times as a salute to their home. Its echoes answered from hill to hill, and wandering Indians wondered what had happened. Frank Hamilton.
On January 16, 1851, Iron County was organized and the first election was held for county officials, and a representative was elected to the legislature of the state of Deseret. The firing of the Sow Cannon signaled the closing of the polls.
Cannon plaque. Sometime in the 1850s, the people were expecting President Brigham Young and party to pay them a visit. All was excitement and hustle in the fort. The president had come to organize a Sunday school, and they had just the right man for the job. Francis T. Whitney, the genial smithy who could sing and dance with equal grace, was just the man they needed. He was a real leader who taught them all the proper etiquette in the ballroom. Following Brother Whitney as superintendent was Joseph Fish, Morgan Richard, and later John A. West. Francis, Joseph, and John would over time become family. When John married Joseph's sister, Betsy, and their daughter Lizzie would marry Francis's son, Job Hall. There are also many memories of the Whitneys during the July 24th celebrations of early Parowan. July 24th of 1851, Pioneer Day was celebrated in grand style for the first time in Parowan. The day was ushered in with thundering of artillery, waving of flags, beating of drums, and shouting of the people. The Whitneys were actively involved in all these celebrations, as described by a first prize story of the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers by Luella Dalton, July 24th of 1858.
Aunt Clarissa Whitney was up early. There were squash pies to bake, a churning to be done, and 6 pairs of shoes to black and shine with soot from the big fireplace, where she still did most of her cooking. Stoves were few in these parts, having to be hauled 1,000 miles by ox teams. All the little Whitneys were dressed in their linsey best, from little New down to Eli, Job, and Irie too.
Compiled by Miss Luella Adams Dalton. Clarissa Alger Whitney also had the company of her father and brother, Samuel and John Alger, while settling the town of Parowan. The Algers were early converts to the church, being taught and found by missionaries in Illinois. Clarissa's mother, Clarissa Hancock, with her father, were one of the first to be baptized in the family. The Parowan City Cemetery contains many artistic, historic, and notable graves. Among the many notable grave markers are that of the Whitneys. Clarissa Whitney is buried there. Also buried there is Clarissa Alger. Clarissa Hancock and her daughter Clarissa Alger Whitney are buried in the Parowan Cemetery, along with Horace Fish and his wife, Hannah Leavitt. Horace and Hannah Fish and their children, some of whom, Joseph and Betsy Jane, are noted at a plaque in Heritage Park in Parowan.
29 August 1850. Arrived in Utah and settled in Centerville, north of Salt Lake City. Later, Horace sold his property and moved to Parowan, arriving 30 April 1853. Horace and Hannah lived out their lives in Parowan. Both were dedicated to their church and their community. They're buried in the Parowan Cemetery. They have thousands of descendants that pay homage for their many sacrifices.
Parowan Heritage Plaque. The lives of the West family were interesting during those early times in Parowan. Samuel Walker West helped contribute financially to the growing of the city of Parowan. His son, John Anderson West, also contributed greatly. He helped Jesse N. Smith and Joseph Fish with the Snowflake, Arizona mission, and helped settle the stakes of Zion down in that area. John West was called to the Sandwich Island mission in 1870. He married Betsy Fish. In November of 1861, it was decided to build the Rock Church, which would also serve as a recreation center, in the center of the public square. There were many experts who had experience with building in Salt Lake, Nauvoo, and other places, who worked on the Rock Church. Among them were Horace Fish and Joseph Fish. They were master workmen who hewed all the logs that were used as braces and floor joists throughout the Rock Church and the Bishop's storehouse. It was completed in 1867. The basement was a community center for many years, including the first dramatic organization in Iron County. The Rock Church has been used as a place of worship, a community recreation center, a town council house, the School of the Prophets, an early LDS seminary, the Parowan Stake Academy, a high school, and is now a museum and Daughters of the Utah Pioneers Relic Hall, and social meeting place.